Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Email me with your questions about the price of this or any Watchbox watch. Email me at tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch that launched as part of the Fiftysix collection back in 2018. The Fiftysix collection was all new in 18, based on the historical 1950s reference 6073. It was a collection of all-arounders. Dressy, yes, but not frumpy. And this, the Fiftysix self-winding, was the entry point into Vacheron ownership. Not just the most basic watch in the 56 line, this is the most accessible way to get a Vacheron watch today. 40 millimeters in stainless steel, it's 9.7 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 48.1 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Again, this is stainless steel, fully loomed, automatic, very practical, and it wears well on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference. In fact, with a relatively short span across the wrist and a flat profile, I think you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. It'll easily slide underneath a dress cuff because every Vacheron, even Vacheron sports watches, are dress watches at heart, and you can always wear them formally. The watch wears well with formal attire thanks to a large rectangular scale, anthracite-colored alligator leather strap. You can see there's a very subtle contrast to the stitching. Here we have wonderful refined folded edges. We have large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator leather, indicating this was a very expensive cut of the material. Calfskin on the bottom. You can see this is a Vacheron factory strap in outstanding condition. And then we have a matching steel double fold deployant clasp. You can see internally polished with some media blasting. We have that Vacheron Maltese cross motif inside the chassis of the clasp, as well as on the buckle. There is a twin trigger release system with one of the swing arms acting as the springs for the twin trigger, so you have to press both of the triggers to pop this open. Taking a quick look at the case. To be perfectly honest, the only part of this watch that really channels the fairly angular vintage reference 6073, it's these little outcroppings on top of the lugs. You see these little triangular outcroppings? There's your nod to the 1956 reference 6073. Everything else on this watch is actually refreshingly modern and original. We have a sheer case flank that's polished. There's a little bit of a bevel on the case that runs lug to lug, a teardrop undertuck to the lug profiles. The bezel has a vertical section, and then it has a conical section running up to a boxed and cambered sapphire. There's a little bit of countersink to the crown, so it doesn't stick out like a thumb from the side of the case. It's better integrated. It's a thumb that's more like that. Nicely tucked, streamlined, and integrated. Taking a quick look, Vacheron's Maltese cross logo is on the crown as well, and on the dial. On the dial, we have applied indices as well as numerals, baton-style hands for hours and minutes, and a counterweighted lancet-style seconds hand. We have a concentric patterned dark gray anthracite track outboard for reading seconds and minutes. There's a sunburst brushed pattern underneath the hour track, then a piano key style or railroad style inner track against which you can read seconds, minutes, or even hours. Then we have an opaline or non-directional frosted center. And the watch does feature a combination of hacking seconds, so you can stop the seconds hand and set the watch to a reference time. There is also a quick set date. How much do you love that open 6 font that they're using here? I happen to adore it. And they're also using open 9s. Flip it all over. A lot of folks think this is a controversial part of the watch. This is the Richemont Corporate Caliber 1326. It does business in Cartier as the Caliber 1904 MC, but it's made by Vacheron, or it's designed and the basic parts are fabricated by Vacheron, which is a Richemont company that acts as a movement supplier to the group as a whole. Now, a lot of folks have said, well, this isn't Geneva Hallmark and it's not a manufacturer movement, so it's not a real Vacheron, to which I respond, there were a lot of non-Geneva Hallmark, non-manufacturer movements that were in Vacheron watches. Back in the 1990s, Vacheron, for example, made beautiful watches that were not Geneva Hallmark with finely finished customer calibers from JLC, Gerard Perregaux, and Frédéric Piguet, and no one questioned whether those were Vacherons. Going back prior to the 2000s, all Vacheron movements were not manufacture calibers. I can only really think of one in the 20th century, the caliber 480, that they even jointly created with another brand. So not having a manufacture movement in a Vacheron's not a deal breaker. And Vacheron has done many beautifully hand-finished movements that are not Geneva hallmark. So I see this as consistent with their history. The movement snobs have short memories. Taking a quick look at what makes this special, we start with the rotor, which is entirely hand-finished and made by Vacheron. Note we have a combination of mirror beveling within the recesses as well as on the outer edges. We have satination across the top, black polishing on the Maltese cross. We have media blasting within the recess of the rotor, and then a spectacular solarization outboard. And in an era when a lot of brands are giving us 21, 18 karat, and even rose gold plated tungsten rotors, Vacheron still gives us 22 carats maximum mass for maximum winding efficiency. We get ceramic rotor bearings for minimum maintenance and high efficiency. 2 mainspring barrels. The idea here is, even though the watch doesn't have an excessively long power reserve at 48 hours, it has the 2 barrels, so the torque release is going to be very progressive, resulting in a flat torque curve from highly wound to minimally wound, so you don't get a surge of timing speed and fast running when it's fully wound, and it doesn't lose a huge amount of time after 18, 24, or 40 hours. It'll keep very consistent time thanks to those twin barrels. Now, this movement features a beat rate of 4 Hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour. It pivots on 25 joules. And Vacheron does the finishing on this movement. It's not just the rotor. If you look at the Cartier version, the 1904 MC, you'll find that the finishing is at a much lower grade. So Vacheron improves this in a lot of ways that make it a Vacheron. And of course, all of this water resistant down to 30 meters, the dress watch standard. Things that I really like to see. A high grade splayed spoke balance. In general, when you see splayed spoke, you're looking at a higher grade of balance. When you see straight baton-like spokes, you're looking at a lower grade. And then Edicron. The little silver Edicron key is generally used for adjusting a beat rate, and then the gold one is used for fine adjustment of timing, and that's a system that allows for really easy fine adjustment and thus great timing by the watch. A fantastic watch that is hugely underrated, and yes, very much a Vacheron. It also includes plenty of luminescence, making it a practical all-arounder to go with its steel case and automatic winding. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.